Have you heard of Fyodor Dostoevsky? If you're into psychology, literature, or philosophy, you probably have. From the twisted minds of underground revolutionaries to the tormented souls of gambling addicts, Dostoevsky's works have captivated readers for over a century. But who was the man behind the pages? Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Sophia, your philosophy lover who's just trying to spread some knowledge and wisdom to help you become a better you. And in this video, you and I are going to take a quick dive into one of literature's most mysterious and influential figures, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Meet Fyodor Dostoevsky, born on November 11, 1821 in the vibrant city of Moscow, Russia. With a doctor for a dad and a deeply religious family, you might think he'd follow a conventional path, but this rebel couldn't be contained. From an early age, Dostoevsky devoured books like there was no tomorrow, expanding his mind and fueling his fiery spirit. Sure, he had the traditional education from his mum, dad, and tutors, but at 13, life took a twist and he was whisked away to a private school. And as fate would have it, tragedy struck when his mother passed away just 2 years later. But things got even worse. His father, who could give the Grinch a run for his money in the cruelty department, was murdered in 1839, leaving Dostoevsky an orphan. Now, Dostoevsky trained to be a military engineer, but here's a little secret. He despised it. School just wasn't his jam. What he really loved with all his heart and soul was literature. So what did he do? He said, "See you later, military career," and fully committed himself to the magical world of writing. His early letters revealed a passionate, energetic young man with a hint of mental instability thrown into the mix. Trust me, this guy was anything but ordinary. In the beginning, Dostoevsky had a knack for writing about the struggles of the poor and downtrodden in society. And in 1843, he dropped his first novel like a bomb, Poor Folk, a social tale that had critics raving with praise. But as it goes with many creative geniuses, the road wasn't always smooth. His second novel, The Double, wasn't met with the same enthusiasm, and his later works in the 1840s left readers feeling chilly. But let's not jump to conclusions here. The Double has since gained recognition as one of his best early works, and it was way ahead of its time. The lack of success weighed heavily on our hero, causing him to spiral into aimlessness and confusion between 1846 and 1849. During this time, he wrote short stories and novels that were experiments in different forms and subject matters. But just when you thought his life couldn't get any crazier, Dostoevsky joined a somewhat subversive, anti-government group called the Petrushevsky Circle in 1847. And guess what? The members were arrested in 1849. After 8 months in prison, Dostoevsky found himself sentenced to death. It was actually a joke, but he didn't find it very funny. The experience stuck with him and he never forgot the feelings of that moment. He was actually ultimately sentenced to 4 years in prison and another 4 years of forced service in the army in Siberia, Russia. Now, let's dive into the years of transformation for Dostoevsky, where his life and work took some wild turns. After returning to St. Petersburg in 1859 with his unhappy wife, Maria Isayeva, Dostoevsky had to get creative to make ends meet. He teamed up with his brother Mikhail to edit the journal Time and churned out a bunch of fictional works. In 1861, he took a leap and published Memoirs from the House of the Dead, a fascinating work of fiction inspired by his own time behind bars. But here's the thing. His writings during this period didn't necessarily scream artistic genius just yet. However, little did the world know that greatness was just around the corner, waiting to burst forth like a literary firework. Now, let's talk a little about the wild adventures of Dostoevsky's personal life during these years. Poor health, financial struggles, and complicated emotional entanglements were all part of the package. Our guy fell head over heels for a young student named Polina Soslova, and their affair was nothing short of frustrating. And just when you think things couldn't get any juicier, Dostoevsky hits us with a literary bombshell in 1864, Notes from Underground. In this short but mind-bending novel, he tackles the existence of individual freedom and why it's so darn essential for humanity. Forget the notion that humans are purely creatures of reason and that a perfectly organized society guarantees happiness. Dostoevsky argues that we humans crave freedom above all else, even if it means a bit of chaos. But here's the kicker. Unchecked freedom can be a double-edged sword, leading to destruction if we don't use it wisely. History shows us that humans are capable of seeking the destruction of others and even themselves. Deep stuff, right? So after his first marriage ended with the death of his wife, Dostoevsky found a practical and level-headed woman named Anna Grigorievna Snitkina. She was basically the complete opposite of his first wife and lover. But hey, that's exactly what he needed. Anna took over a lot of the practical tasks that Dostoevsky hated and wasn't very good at, which meant he had more time to focus on his writing. And boy, did he write some great stuff. In 1866, he published Crime and Punishment, which is like the OG psychological thriller. It's about a student named Raskolnikov who murders an old lady while trying to rob her, and the rest of the book is all about him running from the law and his own guilt. It's seriously intense stuff, and it's no wonder it's one of Dostoevsky's most popular novels. Then, in 1879 to 1880, Dostoevsky wrote his masterpiece, The Brothers Karamazov. This one's a real doozy. It's about 4 brothers who may or may not be guilty of killing their father. Each brother represents a different aspect of human nature, from passion to reason to spirit, and they all have their own issues to deal with. It's a seriously complex and thought-provoking book, and even the famous psychologist Sigmund Freud thought it was one of the greatest works of art of all time. Unfortunately, Dostoevsky passed away not long after finishing The Brothers Karamazov, but his legacy lived on. So whether you're a fan of his thrilling detective stories or his thought-provoking philosophical explorations, there's no denying the impact that Dostoevsky has had on literature and beyond. What do you think of Dostoevsky? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.